Redditors who are married to Karens, how is it like? Was married to a male Karen. Everything, and I mean everything, could set him off. We were at a local taproom and his iPhone automatically connected to the Wi-Fi. Keep in mind, he had full bars on our cell service. The Wi-Fi was being wonky and wasn't working. The manager, super nice guy, comes over and asks how we are doing, while he washes some glasses in the dish pit on the other side of the bar. The following conversation ensues. Keep in mind, my husband is super irritated at this made-up problem because our cell service is working just fine and he can literally just turn off the Wi-Fi. Husband, your Wi-Fi is fucking trash. Manager, I'm sorry. We recently upgraded our internet, and Cox is sending us a new modem. It's supposed to be here this week. Husband, if you say you have Wi-Fi, you should make sure it actually works. Manager, I know. I'm sorry. I'd be happy to restart the modem to see if that helps. Husband then ignores him and continues to talk under his breath about a made-up issue. This was my life for almost 5 years. The sense of entitlement was frustrating enough in public, but more so at home. I had apologized to more servers, retail workers, neighbors, and random people in public for him in 5 years than the rest of my life outside of him. You know what, now that I'm talking about it, maybe he's not so much a male Karen. He's more like a piece of shit. Not married to one, but my aunt is. My uncle is this soft-spoken giant. He never stands up to her in any way. Except once. At their daughter's wedding, she was about to interrupt the ceremony to close a window because she was chilly. Everyone sitting close could hear her whisper, "I'm going to do it, but I don't want to be an asshole." My uncle, in a calm quiet tone says quickly, "Why stop now?" Almost as if his filter just missed this one. I swear I could hear my dad snort 2 rows back trying to hold in laughter. Karen was not happy. My mom's a Karen. She is self-aware she is a Karen, my siblings, and I send her memes about it. When my stepdad divorced her last summer we were all amazed he lasted 17 years, to be honest. None of us like going out with her, it's terrible, and my husband just straight up tells her, "No, you aren't talking to the manager when we go in a place." I'll tell you guys a story my step told us. They are farmers and own a small beef and beef farm. They have a store they go to for bee supplies. The owner called my stepdad and asked him to please be the one to pick up their stuff because his staff was tired of dealing with my mom. He is the only one who went to the store for the next 5 years. My ex-wife is a Karen, in every sense but name. It was always so embarrassing. She was incapable of treating anyone like a human for the most trivial of occurrences. It was hell for me, as a person that's pretty forgiving and don't seek out confrontation. So in a one-word description, it was hell. My mom is a Karen. She thinks the world is supposed to cater to her, serve her, and everyone else is wrong. Once we went to Carl's Jr. She ordered 4 burgers, for the 4 of us. She pulls one out of the bag while the guy is getting our drinks and hides it. She complains that he forgot a burger. She pulls them out one by one and counts it in front of him. It's obviously missing because she hid it and he's swearing up and down he put them all in the bag. I'm stunned speechless, and it happened so fast. She got a free burger, and laughed as we drive off. I'm just staring at her and she opens it up to eat it on the drive home. And she ate her actual burger like the 5th one never existed. I can't even explain how she is when she's in the hospital. She treats it like a luxury stay in a hotel. My mom is a literal Karen, as in, it's her name. But she's like a bizarro Karen. She will constantly ask to speak with managers and supervisors and bosses. But when said managers arrive, she unloads about the employee helping her out was fantastic, hardworking, and friendly. And then she'll spend 20 minutes trying to figure out if she and the manager know someone in common. 9 times out of 10 they do. As a kid it would embarrass me, as an adult it's one of my favorite things about her. She makes people feel good about the work they do, and it's really special to watch how wonderful she makes people feel. Plus she's got long gorgeous silver hair. My sister is a Karen. Everyone feels so sorry for her husband. Everything is his fault. He is treated like a slave. She only addresses him by yelling. She constantly insults him. We have no idea why he hasn't divorced her or flipped out and attacked her. We have all told her to cool it and her response is that he's just so stupid. I could go on and on, but my sister really is a horrible person. Not married but dated a male Karen for 8 years. He was a semi-successful business owner who was twice my age, and I was young and dumb for a lack of a better word. The gist of our relationship was him trying to take over every part of my life. For instance, he would order for me at restaurants and would dissuade me if I wanted to try something new. If I had a problem with something, it would be brushed off, but if he had a problem, then he had to talk to a manager. Not knowing any better, I just thought he was very particular and even started copying some of his tendencies, like speaking up when I felt I wasn't getting the right service when I was out on my own. I realized who he was when we were flying back from Vegas and our luggage was heavier than when we flew in. Obviously we'd bought extra things which made up for the weight difference, so as he demanded to know an explanation from the check-in clerk as to why, if it was the same luggage, would it somehow weigh more, I innocently answered that it must have been the extra shoes and clothes. He was quiet and paid up. Later he told me to not to do that again, as he knew the reason why the luggage was heavier. He was just trying to get away with not paying. At that moment a bulb went off in my head. This man who'd spent $1,500 on a stripper for his friend was making an already stressful job more stressful for the clerk in order to avoid paying $60. We broke up soon after, and I checked myself on the Karen tendencies he'd rubbed off on me. My husband's ex is Karen. She's a classic narcissist. When one of our feral hens started acting aggressive towards other hens, my stepson named her Karen. Not the married to one, but my mom's a Karen. Literally overreacts to everything. Whenever something doesn't go her way, you guessed, gotta speak to the manager or whoever is in charge. Sometimes really embarrassing to go out in public with her because she'll just yell at the service workers for the smallest of things. Also, she has a bob cut. My mom was a Karen for a while. She literally didn't realize it until my brother and I started calling her out on it when we were early teens because we're embarrassed. She made genuine efforts to change, and a few years later was the sweetest woman you ever meet. Just saying, there's hope. Not married to a Karen, but my mom is a Karen whose name is actually Karen. Simply put, I haven't seen her in over a year because I couldn't take it anymore. Living with her was just an exhausting nightmare. Karen's world revolves around Karen. Nobody else's issues matter. If you tell her that you had a bad day, she'll give you 20 reasons why her day was worse. You worked 60 hours this week? Well, when she was your age, she would work 80. You're in the hospital after having major surgery? She has a pinched nerve in her arm, which is somehow worse. Your boyfriend cheated on you? She couldn't even begin to tell you about all the heartbreak she's experienced in her life. She complains left and right about anything and everything. If you're taking a week break after just getting back from college, she'll ask why you haven't gotten a job yet and claim you're lazy. If you're out to eat at a restaurant, the food is always too cold or too burnt or too salty. You can only ever go to the places she wants to go to, because everything else is crap. My entire graduation dinner she complained about how cold the food was. She thrives in getting attention and constantly seeks it, but she has very few actual friends. Facebook is her lifeblood and she's always looking to start something on there. She's the queen of sharing uninformed, misguided, conservative propaganda, which always starts fights in her comments. Also, if a tragedy happens in the family, like the passing of my teenage cousin, she'll make a big scene on Facebook and expect condolences from anyone and everyone, and makes note of the people who don't give her what she wants. Don't even get me started on the blatant racism. I've heard everything from, watch out for black people on the subway. They'll try to take your purse, to, it should be illegal for those Muslims to cover their faces. You should be able to see someone's face. One of my best friends is black and she once told me, he's one of the good ones. They should all be like him. Minor, but the house always has to be spotless. You have a shirt on your bedroom floor? Pick up. You kids are all slobs. We have people coming over. No we don't, and even if we do, why would they be going in my bedroom? Her house is her house, and she'll let you know. Any object she has spent money on doesn't belong to you, it belongs to her. She also spends way too much money on home decor like oriental rugs, furniture, etc., but then complains about how she has no money. Not married to a Karen, but married someone with a Karen for a sister. SIL is the freaking worst. I hate more than anything going out to dinner with her, listening to her order food and talk to the servers. Holidays are also terrible. She sends out long lists of expected gifts list. She celebrates every holiday and birthday specifically for presents even when it's not appropriate. Funny thing is, one time I was away from the dinner table when the bill came and SIL waited for me to return to pay the bill by actually handing it to me. She didn't give it to her sibling/my so or pay her half, but expressly handed it to me to pay. My sister and Sil are both Karens. I will show up to restaurants 15 minutes early to warn them. I tell them if it's not done to their liking they will hear about it and they will make your shift hell. I'm just there as a warning. I used to work in restaurants and those people made life hell. I do what I can to help. Generally my drinks are better and we get a free appetizer as soon as those two tornadoes walk in, all hell breaks loose. Not enough ice, table is too cold, it's too loud, etc. I also tip really big BC. I don't want to associate it with the two tornadoes. I love overseas so I only see them 2 weeks out of the year. So it's manageable. Edit, I live overseas but also love it. I only put up with their attitude because they could take my nieces and nephews away from me. I pick my battles. I need my NNN to know I'm always here for them and they can talk to me about anything. I can't risk our relationship being tampered with, especially since I only see them 2 weeks a year. I have stood up to both of them plenty of times but I'm not about to have an argument every time I see them. After living overseas I have realized how valuable family is and I need to accept someone, family or not, for who they are and nothing more. This has more to do with being at peace with myself. Only I can change my actions and reactions. I cannot change them but what I can do is tip a few shots before they arrive and tip big. I've been blessed, not religious, in having a great husband and stable with money. During the quarantine I've started reaching out to my old friends who are not as fortunate and buying their kids iPads so they can do schoolwork, science-based activities and books. I think it's time to help those that are not as fortunate but work their asses off. And no, I absolutely do not post about it. They may send a thank you on social media, but it's not initiated by me. I'm divorcing a Karen. Nothing was ever good enough, everything had to be the most expensive thing and even then it wasn't good enough. My mom is a Karen. Not fun. I think she was part of the reason the girl I loved left because whenever she was around my mom behaved much better and put on a nice face. We argued frequently about my relationship with my mom. Hurts a lot. Don't think I can fully let this one go. My brother was married to a Karen. She lived to berate people and rarely went anywhere without a flask of vodka to fuel her fire. She despised kids and wasn't quiet about it. In the first year of marriage she decided her husband had to earn sex. So if she didn't like the way he painted the shed or groomed the dog or poured his cornflakes, and she never did, there was no reward. After 10 years he divorced her, moved to another state, and married a kind-hearted, generous, empathetic lady. Karen still can't understand why he dumped her perfect ass. Not married. 4 years of a toxic relationship though. I broke up with her on Monday, again. We're kinda fucked financially because of this lockdown so we are just feeling things out for a month before we decide for sure. This cycle is on repeat. I constantly have to cut her off and speak over her because of the way she treats people. Waiters, sales assistants, gym staff, neighbors, landlords, randoms we meet in bars etc. Note, we were both waiters at the beginning of our relationship so she has worked in the industry, but still lacks empathy. She blames the waiter if something is out of stock etc. My second major issue. We are both English second language teachers. She teaches kindergarten, while I teach high school. Now that we are working from home I hear how she speaks to her students and it's really opened up another aspect of her personality that I don't like. She will berate a student for not understanding instead of evaluating her ability to explain. Shitting on 3-year-olds in their second language doesn't fly with me. A lot of her behavior stems from a self-defense mechanism due to insecurity, but that's not an excuse. She doesn't realize how mean she is to people, including myself. I'm a people pleaser that would rather sacrifice my own comfort than someone else's. She expects me to be an asshole to people because I'm a big-ish guy with tattoos, I don't exactly look soft. It's toxic as hell, please help. My mom is a Karen. She literally cannot help herself but to tell other her opinion. She genuinely sees it as doing everyone a favor. It destroys her relationships with my siblings. None of my other siblings will talk to her. A few years ago we went out to eat. The restaurant served bread and butter before the meal. The butter was whipped. My mom, the former dairy farmer's daughter, insisted they bring her real butter. The waitress went back to the kitchen and came back and told her what she had was butter. How dare she? My mom, who apparently is infallible in her ability to detect butter, started acting like a complete asshole to the waitress about it. She knows what real butter tastes like. I go to this restaurant often and my kids are there, so my first instinct was to apologize to the waitress. That was a bad idea. As soon as I did, my mom went into a rage about respecting your elders and walked out of the restaurant. To this day she still won't admit she was unkind to the waitress.